This series is aimed to introduce you to the new graduate certificates in supply networks being offered this January by McGill School of Continuing Studies in Montreal. My name is John Graddick, and I'm the faculty lecturer at McGill in the SCS department, and I'm also the academic program coordinator for the supply network programs. These new graduate certificate programs evolve from McGill's efforts to ensure that the academic offerings in our lifelong learning series are relevant and valuable to our students, and that the accreditation that they're earning in these programs assists the graduates in achieving their career goals. So these two graduate certificates in supply networks are being offered in January 2024. They are the graduate certificate in dynamic supply networks and the graduate certificate in integrated supply networks. In this podcast, I will be presenting an overview of both of these programs, the admission requirements of these programs, as well as course delivery practices. And I also will have the pleasure of presenting two of our talented course designers and lecturers on our January launch, Serge Terrier and Bruno Collet. They will be introducing two of the courses we'll be offering this winter, and I'm sure you will find our discussions to be of great interest to all of you. But first, an overview of the programs. So the Dynamic Supply Networks program has a target population of individuals that are primarily working in supply chain activities today, that have a role, whether it's in distribution, whether it's in procurement, whether it's in warehousing, operations management, and even in the world of sourcing. So it's got a wide variety of individuals that are currently involved in those organizations. And the view is to present these individuals with an improvement skills and a set of opportunities for these students to, in fact, look at getting an upgrade or a improvement in their skill capabilities of new technologies and new approaches in supply chains and supply networks. Maybe we could talk a bit about why the change from supply chain to supply networks. And traditionally, our methodologies have been involved around supply chains. Since the pandemic, a number of things have happened in the world of supply chains, and we've basically come to the conclusion that the supply chain really has to change a paradigm to be more of a network, to be more about looking at how organizations have to go away from a linear representation of a supply chain to more of a network representation about multiple solutions, multiple problems, multiple issues, multiple suppliers, multiple production facilities, and trying to understand the optimization that's required to make sure that these supply networks add value. Just to give you an idea of some of the courses that are going to be offered in the dynamic course, we're looking at principles of dynamic supply management, which is just an introductory course to what supply networks are all about. We're doing a course on dynamic supply networks transformation, and Bruno is here later on in this session to kind of walk you through that course. We have another course in dynamic supply network sustainability. We have courses in dynamic supply chain data analytics. We have courses in sourcing and purchasing, as well as in lean operations. And that's where Serge basically is able to provide us with some ideas about what his course is all about and how it affects the way in which we, in fact, deliver lean. The integrated supply networks graduate certificate has a similar type of profile in terms of target market. We're looking primarily at individuals that have a more tactical bent in terms of actual delivery of supply chain and supply network capabilities. So we're looking at individuals within the operations management world. We're looking at people within the strategic side as well, looking at environmental, social, and governance issues. We're looking at things in terms of logistics and distribution, some of the more practical components associated with supply networks at a more tactical level as well. Career opportunities, again, a similar type of domain, looking probably more at individuals that have more in the warehousing, distribution, logistics, transportation function. But again, individuals who are in those roles who would like to upgrade their skill set, get an understanding of some of the technologies that are evolving in those domains, and basically help them try to put together a career plan that will look at upgrading their skills and hopefully their compensation in these roles. So some of the courses that we're offering in the integrated supply networks program include integrated production and operations management, We're talking about ESG, environmental, social, and governance issues in respect to integrated supply networks. We have a field project that really is what I would call a capstone course in this program that allows you to, in fact, take a project and really work through a series of activities to, in fact, try to understand the application of all the stuff that you've been learning in these graduate certificates and providing an output to the product. We have a global supply management and international logistics course. We have another course on Six Sigma, complementing the lean program that Serge put together. This is a Six Sigma and supply networks course. We have a course in supply networks, and which I call special topics in supply networks, which is my favorite course in all of this. Is basically it's really looking at where in the world are supply networks going in the future, giving everybody a perspective in terms of what do we see on the horizon in terms of technologies, approaches, general practices in supply networks. And it really is a course that kind of opens up where the future of supply networks is going and allows us to have a chance to kind of discuss that with the class and give them a chance to understand how this whole process is evolving. So that is, in essence, is what the two programs are all about. The admission requirements for these programs are typical graduate certificate or graduate level programs. So we're requesting students to register for these programs and have an undergraduate degree. And a degree could be in any domain, not necessarily supply chain or operations or science or commerce. Really, the other criteria we're looking for is a GPA requirement of 3.0 out of 4 for these individuals to be recognized as having an accomplished undergraduate degree with a high degree of academic credibility and accomplishment. The course delivery is going to be in person in Montreal, in the McGill campus, downtown Montreal. Courses are typically given in the evening. They're given on the campus between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. And they are, courses that will go either on Monday nights, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, or Thursday nights. We have some possibility of some of these courses being delivered on Saturday morning, but that's probably a fallback position if we basically have an issue with too many people or not enough distribution of students through the week. So our objective is basically making this an evening class from 6 to 9 p.m. to allow individuals who are working to come into class and basically finish off their long day sitting with us for 3 hours and learning you and giving you a chance to learn about the up and coming things that are going to be affecting your career. So I'm going to spend a few minutes now talking to both Serge and to Bruno about their courses. So I'm going to start off with Bruno talking about a course, his transformation course. And just to give you an idea of what the course is all about in terms of general structure, it really is, how the world of digitized and digitalization is really impacting supply chains and supply management. It's really looking at the design and development of appropriate value benefits for moving into the digital world. It's the analysis of digital supply management transformation and drivers of that transformation, including things like the impact of artificial intelligence, the metaverse, robotics, and also climate change on the supply network. So, Bruno, what have you been, what are we going to be focusing on when we talk about supply networks transformation? What does that mean?
Thanks, John. Well, basically, we want to explore the evolution of the supply management landscape, in particular, like you mentioned before, the change of paradigm from a linear sequential system to a more dynamic network, which often called like complex adaptive system. And we start by looking at the drivers. As you mentioned, technological drivers are really at the center, but there are also political drivers, environmental drivers, and more. And we explore also challenges and opportunities. For example, AI, which is of course very actual now, artificial intelligence is one of these opportunities that supply networks would like to leverage to gain competitive advantage. We look at the impacts of that, the change drivers and new capabilities such as AI. For example, what kind of change they bring. It could be more incremental or more disruptive, and it can affect different aspects of the supply network, such as the structure, the operations, even the culture. So we will look at the breadth and the depth of the impact of these new capabilities and challenges. And we go really deep enough, John, to look at strategies and concrete tactics. So this is not just a conceptual course, a course that looks at how are we actually going to use that and apply that in our own organizations. And although we cover mostly technological drivers, that being said, we also look at some other aspects that are non-technological. I
So,
hope it explains.
yeah. So, but why is transformation such a big deal? Like, what is it about transformation that makes it an integral part of our study that we're looking at understanding supply networks?
Well, the premise here is that there are huge forces that are reshaping supply networks. And the current model, the linear model, like more predictive and so on, it has reached its limit because the underlying paradigm is very simply stability and predictability. And this paradigm is being challenged. So complexity makes change very daunting. We often talk about agility in supply networks, but it takes different forms than, for example, agility in like software development, which is well known, and transformation strategies that may have worked in specific and other areas like IT might not work in supply networks. So it's really worth it to look at how can supply network become more dynamic, more adaptive. And actually, the pandemic gave us a very good preview of that, right? There were limited supply problems, and they caused very visible disruptions, consequences, such as, for example, the classic lack of hygienic paper or medication. And it really demonstrates the lack of resilience of adaptability of our current supply networks. If just one of the many cogs in the machine stops spinning, the whole system could come to a halt. And today, to be frank, I want to cry wolf here, but most organizations' entire value delivery process is quite fragile.
Perfect. Thank you, Bruno. Let's talk about CSNM 632, which is our lean course, and it really is defined as a comprehensive approach to create robust supply networks using lean and agile techniques. Includes things like redesigning factory measurements and dynamics, supply network variability, product process portfolio matrices, push-pull production systems, capacity management in networks, and production execution technologies that are out there. So, Serge, why is there a need for
Yes.
lean and supply networks?
Well, I believe lean is necessary because it allows organization to deliver better customer value by responding quickly, efficiently, and predictably to customers, so while reducing cost and waste. When you look at the changes in the lean practices in the last 20 years, it has evolved significantly with digital transformation, like Bruno mentioned. So we have capabilities such as automation, Internet of Things, AI, big data, which results in enhancing process efficiency and enabling real data-driven decision making. With globalization, the supply chain is much more complex than it was before. It has increased the complexity of more diverse suppliers and customers. And because of that, lean is no longer limited to internal operations. So nowadays, we have to collaborate with our lean efforts across the entire supply network, and it's gaining popularity. So perhaps the last thing I would like to mention is about the need of a lean supply network is the impact it has on resilience. When you operate in a lean way, you have to protect the flow. You have to make it predictable as much as possible. So to do so, you must consider risk management strategies, such as dual sourcing strategies and building more adaptable and resilient supply network. So, and that what lean will do for you.
So, one of the things about lean has always been the concept of continuous improvement. So, how have you incorporated continuous improvement concepts in your supply network course?
Yeah, so the goal of the course is really to provide a comprehensive approach to create a robust supply network utilizing lean and agile techniques. When you select, in selecting and developing the content, I asked myself, and I asked ChatGPT about what would be truly useful in terms of continuous improvement tools and concepts to supply and management professionals. So in this course, we'll look at value added and non-value added, and also resilience of activities and processes of the entire supply network. Toward the end of the course, we will also bring problem solving to the shop floor. The course covers lean fundamentals and process optimization principles and tools. including production execution technology that contribute to performance efficiency. The principles are inspired from the 14 management principles created by Toyota. I also believe that the student will find some value in the examples, demos, case studies, and problem-solving simulation that we're going to be using in the class.
Speaking of classes, I just think we would spend just a few minutes just talking about some of the topics that you guys will be looking at in terms of your individual courses. So, Sarah, just talk to us very quickly about some of the topics that you'll be looking at as you go through your course.
Yeah, with pleasure. So the topics will include the Lean and Toyota Production System overview, process optimizations principles, as I mentioned, through flow and work leveling. We're going to be spending quite some time on this, particularly in terms of value stream mapping. Learn is about doing the right thing right the first time, so we'll look at error proofing and standard work as well. The final element of process optimization is on setting a conducive work environment. So we're going to cover 5S, the spaghetti mapping, also visual management in that front. We'll look into execution technologies such as Internet of Things, Industry 4.0, Big Data, AI, but with a lean mindset. With this knowledge, students should be able to complete a strategic planning A3, which is a technique that sets a company's goals, performance indicators, targets, and help team develop a month-to-month or even year-to-year deployment plan to get those achievements. We're going to spend a couple of classes on A3 problem solving and also problem solving workshop planning and execution. By the end of these classes, my goal is that the students will feel comfortable facilitating their own problem solving workshop in their organization. In order to increase probability of success in their organization and its supply networks, students will also perform risk analysis. They will learn tools like failure mode and effect analysis, force field and stakeholder analysis as well. A complement to risk is resilience, and they will get a demonstration of the Resilink solution, which is at the intersection of data, AI, and supply chain management. So that's
Perfect.
about it.
Thank you, Serge. Great summary. So, Bruno, how about walking us through some of the topics that you're going to be incorporating in your course?
Yes, thank you, John. Well, the course is divided in 13 sessions, and for each session we focus on one specific capability. We look at technologies, like Serge mentioned, artificial intelligence, big data, blockchain, 3D printing, robotics, Internet of Things, digital product development. And the goal here is to understand what it is and sometimes a bit demystify it, because some of these terms are around since a long time, but we have to position them within the reality of a supply network. And then once we have this understanding, we can see how these technologies can make it possible to develop new and improved capabilities that are specific to supply networks. For example, intelligent supply, smart manufacturing, synchronized planning, smart contracts, dynamic fulfillment, intelligent asset management, connected customers, and more. So the goal here is not to become an expert in any of those technologies, but to go deep enough so that we can discuss together concretely the implication for supply networks. How can we benefit from these new technologies, these capabilities? What are the risks and challenges? And to give you an example, let's say we look at AI. Again, it's not just about like AI concept. It's how can we explore enablers such as what skills we need in supply networks, what kind of tools, processes, IT systems that help to actually leverage AI in the reality. And we look at many real-life examples with videos and cases so that learners can really understand what it means beyond the concept. We also look at how these concepts are combined, because very often these concepts are interdependent. For example, AI will require some form of big data and data analytics, so they are layered and they work together as a whole. And in terms of teaching method, I like to mention that we mix multiple formats. Of course, there are a couple of slides, but really the focus is on discussion and exercise that are guided. We mix formats such as articles, videos, cases, and so on. And I like to emphasize that this is really hands-on, right? We want the students to reflect on challenges and the applicability of what we learn in class in their own context. So there will be points during the course where each student can really think about how can this be useful for me and discuss with the class, which really, I would say not enforce, but really encourages to connect the dots between what we learn and the work context. We're also working to get to put together some visits and guest speakers. Basically, at the end of the course, we put everything together in a complete transformation journey, covering people, process, technology, all the way from organizational design to operations. So as you can see, this is a very ambitious course, and basically we want to deliver the maximum value for the time invested.
Great. Thank you, Bruno. So there you have it. 2 of the courses in the certificate program, the graduate certificate program in dynamic supply networks. Thanks to both Serge and Bruno for their efforts in course design and for taking the time today to provide us with a glimpse into their 2 exciting and very innovative courses. For more information on these programs, I suggest that you have a look at our website, and the website location is here. So registrations for the program close on November 1st. You will need a transcript of your undergraduate degree showing your GPA of at least 3.0, as I mentioned earlier, along with your current resume, CV. What we'd like to be able to make sure is that individuals who are going into these programs basically have some supply chain, supply network experience. So we're looking for individuals that are a couple of years of experience in various roles. It doesn't have to be leadership roles. It can be just, regular roles in supply chain. It doesn't have to be a management or a leadership role. It can be just really a role in doing some of the functional sides of supply chain. So we'll be back next week with a glimpse into the graduate certificate in integrated supply networks. So I'll introduce 2 more course designers and lecturers that have crafted even more innovative and exciting courses for your career advancement. So thank you very much for taking the time to have a listen to us today. Much appreciated, and see you next week. Thank you.